Hi, everybody. This is Sean Clayton here with a professional leadership doctrine presentation. This presentation is based off of a paper that I'm currently drafting for uh, my School of Applied Leadership master's program. And in this presentation, I'm going to talk about some professional and personal developments that leaders can apply to their followers within organizations, and how these leaders go about presenting change and creating change within their organizations through using various leadership theories. Um, we're also going to talk about some of the internal and external opportunities that leaders can take advantage of to be a conduit for these changes, um, and as well as how they communicate these changes and provide the strategies to making these changes happen. So the objectives for this presentation, we're going to talk about leadership and career development, professional and personal leadership growth, communicating changes, implementing change strategies, and finding opportunities to incorporate organizational sustainability and internally and externally. So when we're talking about sustainability, we're talking about long-term growth. Organizations have to change as the markets change. So being able to build a core culture within an organization that can withstand these changes internally and externally is the goal, is the objective. So leadership's influence on the organization. So how do leaders influence people's careers? Well, they play a huge role in how people are used, and how they feel about their jobs. Um, they also play a big role in the where everybody's careers are going. They have control over how people are developing and what they learn, and giving people opportunities when they want to learn or gain experience in different fields. Leaders need to be aware that not everybody just wants to come to work and do the same thing every single day. They want to. Some people want to make themselves better, and really the objective for this presentation is to present the idea that leaders should enable people and encourage people to better themselves in their careers and their professional lives. And some of the ways they can do this is by providing input and coaching, provide them with a path of what you need and what they need to better themselves professionally, and how to succeed and get to the next level if that's what they desire. And it could be helping people move on. But the point is, leaders have to be ready to influence people that are career oriented, that want to go to the next level within their careers, and providing that encouragement to the individuals is key for organizations. And of course, with professional and career-oriented people, it also affects personal lives. People that take the time to, or feel that they really want to emphasize their personal lives and personal growth, leaders should encourage that too. Not just focus on what's going on, what can make the organization better. Leaders should focus on the personal matters and personal lives and personal ambitions of the individuals. In some cases, it might be a person wants a life and a career in a different region or state or anywhere else besides where they are currently. leaders, the leader of the organization or the group should really focus on helping those people achieve their goals, if that's their goals. And leaders should really also focus on, the culture, developing and encouraging cultures within their organization. When we talk about personal life, personal life is also personal culture. Individuals can also can come to the organization. They want to feel included despite of their cultures, and it's really up to the leaders to make everybody seem like they're included and they're not being discouraged from whatever their personal or religious or just whatever their culture might be. And it really takes influencing people to accept these cultures and be able to be sensitive to everybody's culture and whatever that may be. All right, developing growth within an organization. How does that happen? Well, first the leader and the individuals or teams, how they have to set goals, then provide feedback, and then gain the experience they need. And hopefully at the end they will achieve that. So what are some of the opportunities to help our organization achieve more? Well, how would a organization achieve more? Well, first they need goals. What do they want to achieve? And if you're focusing on the internal, the organization, the people that make up the organizations, providing and encouraging a culture of learning is an excellent way to develop growth within an organization. Having a culture that wants to learn and is ambitious to find new ways and is thinking outside the box and versus just staying within the box and maintaining a checklist of everything that they accomplish a day and then go no further. That's not going to enable growth. Leaders need to make people, motivate people to step outside of these lines and find their inner ability to want to learn and get better. And that really, if individuals in the organization are set in their ways and they don't want to be learners, it doesn't hurt to build a team of learners. Start organizing people that are ambitious and want to make the same impacts that the leaders in the organization want to make, and developing a culture like that. Developing methods of assessed performance and coaching. As we said, it's up to the leaders. Leaders of the organization, if they want to produce a culture of learning, they have to assess what is going on and provide feedback to these people, and finding ways to increase people's desire to want to improve and learn more and think outside the box. Okay, implementing leadership and change strategies. So how would a leader develop a strategy to make this change to, for example, a learning culture? Well, developing a strategy, a plan is probably the best way to guide them through it, depending on what kind of change they're after. If they're looking at doing a total reorganization of the company that they're working for, or changing a process, or whatever it is, it really has to be communicated, probably starting well beforehand any of this goes down. Probably get change strategies really need to have effective communication, and they really need to talk to the different leaders within the organization prior to implementing the strategy. Um, and of course, the different stakeholders, and everybody needs to put their input onto this, and then go to the people that make up the majority of the organization and get their input and make them well aware of what's coming down the line as far as change. Let them see the vision that the leaders are trying to get across. That's how you get people involved, is displaying that vision and letting them see what the future holds, and displaying the goals and getting them involved. So strategy is a big part to change leadership and getting your organization ready to make the leap into the next realm and stay competitive. If it's business or nonprofit, you're always going to have to compete, and organizations are always going to have to change to stay competitive. Continue to do the same things over and over again, you're going to lose that competitive edge. So leaders have to be aware of what's going on around them internally and externally. And one point that I want to highlight in this is that once the strategy is planned and everything's seems to be okay, a good measure is to test the strategy and kind of get a understanding of how well the organization is going to work. Getting a proper feel for whatever change they're trying to accomplish. So communication with the organization. So leaders really have to understand that credibility is a big part of communication, and whether or not someone's going to listen to you. If a leader isn't really trustworthy or isn't really looked upon very as good as other leaders, the emphasis on the change might not be really taken too seriously. So the point I wanted to make here is that credibility is key for change within the organization. And so, and also another good point that I want to make is preparing and educating everybody that's going to be affected by the change strategy. You got to communicate with them and let them know that this is what's going to happen, or this is the process that we're changing, or this is the reorganization that's going to occur. You just have to get people ready. So you have to communicate them, as we said in the previous slide. And then, of course, you got to ensure that all the leaders are communicating what their role is in the change strategy, and buying in totally, and getting their people ready. And another point I want to make is that you got to get people excited about the change. You don't. It's not necessarily has to be a bad change. You have to make it seem and communicate that to them in a motivative and motivation with give them motivation to want to make the change through positive communications. And you have to allow everybody to provide their input. Just telling people in the organization it's either this way or the highway isn't gonna fly. You have to let people provide their input. Whether or not the leaders decided to use that input, it's still a good thing to have extra set of eyes, or people let you know what they think, and they might see something that you, the leader, might not be aware of, and it'll raise questions. So providing input, allowing everybody to provide input is the communication that you want to receive back from the people in the organization. And kind of what we discussed in the previous slide, you want to communicate to the different stakeholders, and you also want to communicate to any external people, such as investors and people depending on the organizations. And you want to make an effort for transparency within the organization. You have to understand what the perceptions are of the organization, whether or not these changes are being affected on because there's something bad going on. You have to make sure that people understand that internally and externally that these changes are to stay competitive, or it could be something bad that's going on, and you have to make a change, implement some sort of new procedure to ensure that financial reporting is done correctly, and or there's no chance of ethical dilemmas in different sections of the organization. And lastly, you have to provide the results, or what the expected results of the change strategy is. So things you have to communicate with all stakeholders, and the investors and everybody, or future investors, the IRS. These things people want to see. And when can they be done? Annual reports, quarterly reports, all hands communications. There's a number of ways leaders can communicate to the stakeholders. So what can we do for leadership theory-wise? What are some good theories that leaders can use to provide change strategy and emphasize individual developments and professional and personal lives? Well, the transformational leadership theory is a great leadership theory that approaches change for individuals and organizations. Leaders that are transformational leaders, their goal is to motivate followers and to achieve higher goals. And not only does achieving higher goals help the individual, it helps the organization. You want people that are able to accomplish big feats. It provides experience, it provides education, provides a well-rounded individual that's going to help the organization succeed, and helping them shows that not only are they dedicated to the organization, but the organization is dedicated to them achieving their goals. Motivating people to do their job, and encouraging them to do their job well, or find new ways and be creative thinkers, and just treat everybody as equal. Be aware of their culture, and include everybody. So transformational leaders are conductors to change leadership. They want to start from the inside and help people get better along with their own organization. And then there's the facilitative leaders. This is a leadership theory that I recently found, and I thought it was quite interesting, and I decided to include it into this presentation. So what they do is they help organizations achieve higher results through positive attitude. They encourage the can-do attitude. They want people to never say I can't, and always find a way. They build trust. Builds trust between the leaders and the stakeholders. and the individuals that make up the organizations. They encourage transparency in leadership decisions. They're not going to make decisions and not tell anybody. They're going to allow people to see the decisions they're making and even let them put input or allow them to give suggestions. Uh, the facilitative leadership theory really brings out the best in people and helps them strive to become better, kind of like the transformational leader. It motivates people to achieve higher goals. Well, it's the same thing with the facilitative leadership theory. Want people to become better, better people, make better organizations, and it's a circle. And some of the tools that facilitative leaders help do is or accomplish this is through gap analysis. They analyze. They look at where the organization needs to meet ends, and they use these various tools to kind of analyze what the organization needs to do to become better as a whole. So it's really, the facilitative leadership theory really emphasizes change and through not only quantitative but qualitative, or excuse me, not only qualitative but quantitative analysis. This is definitely a really good leadership theory that I think definitely puts an emphasis on leadership in organizations. So, seizing the opportunity internally. So, why would a leader want to seize opportunities internally? Well, as we talked before, developing future leaders is going to provide sustainability long term for the organization. So, what I mean by saying developing organizations, future leaders, it's getting the new people that of under 5 years with the organization and start developing them into the future, because eventually they will be the future. They will be the higher levels, the leaders in the organization. So start with them when they first begin and mold them into the leaders that they want in the organization. That's an internal opportunity that every organization should be focusing on. And like we said before, provide opportunities for individuals to better themselves. Be a conduit for change and self-development and professional development, and develop creative thinkers with goals of making the organization run more efficient. Not only do you want future leaders, but you want people that aren't going to be afraid to question the procedures and how things are operating, and come up with great big ideas to change procedures and make the organization better. And you want to motivate people to commit to their work. People with 1 foot in, 1 foot out, they're not going to do the best work. If you give people the commitment, show that the organization's committed to them, they're going to commit to the organization and do their best work. And allow people to have influence on the way the organization moves forward. Kind of like how we talked about with input, allowing these future leaders and creative thinkers to change and question the way procedures or guidelines are built or organized, or how the organization is structured. Allow them to influence the way the future is going to hold. So those are the internal opportunities that an organization can maximize their sustainability. Then there's the externals. So competitors are what drives change. There's always a competing organization or business trying to get the market shares. So you're gonna have to understand where their competitive advantages are and counteract them. Find the best ways to sell more or take over their clients. Find kind of understand what their perspective is on the market and how they're doing things. And then you want to develop partnerships to strengthen business opportunities. You want to examine, work with people that are going to help build the organization's roots or market shares. And you want to work on the public perception of the organization. You want to work to better the community and the surrounding nonprofit organizations. You want to help those people in the community and show them that you're not there just to make a profit, but you're actually there to better the community, and that reflects on the organization as a whole. Getting your organization to volunteer and get the organization's name out there, and showing that people that work there are actually care about the community and are willing to work to better it. External business strategy is to diversify the market. Kind of goes along with the competing organization or firms or business or whatever you want to call it. Kind of get out there and not just stick to one business solution. You want to diversify your market, and then communicate with investors on how the organization's leadership is making changes to improve sustainability. This is kind of the transparency. You want to make sure that people are seeing that things such as financial reporting are being done correctly. You want to show the different green initiatives that the organization is making. Anything to paint a good perception, not only on the community and the surrounding nonprofit organizations, but also with investors, and showing them that your organization is making changes to improve themselves, and internally and externally. And then you can also take some of what the competitor is doing, analyzing what they're doing and what changes they're making. Kind of see how the external market's operating. It's things the organizations can do to make themselves better through using external information and data or perceptions. And the conclusion. So we talked about long-term sustainability. How can that be achieved? Developing people, developing teams that are and cultures that are willing to learn and be creative, and leaders showing an interest in personal and professional goals and helping people achieve them, and change strategies. Using the people that you're developing and showing that the leaders care. It's all part of the change strategy. It's all the be a conduit for change in the future, or change in the present. The point being is that change is always going to have to occur, and creating a culture or a strategy and a culture that is willing to accept change, because change will be continuous. There's no telling what the market will be in the future for whatever organization or firm that they're a part of. You have to make a long-term strategy to be ready. And then what else have we talked about? Transformational leadership and facilitative leadership theories. Both great leadership theories that really emphasize on change strategies and encouraging people to better themselves and providing that learner culture that we're after. And then internal and external opportunities. The different opportunities that will come up, and leaders have to be ready and know where to look to grab these opportunities and use them to produce a change. And that concludes my presentation. Here's the references. Thank you.